Hello everyone, welcome back to the first ever Spiky Sense tier list video, and this is going to be Enfield operators ranking. So first things first, right? I'm going to be ranking these from S to hell no. Now, the reason why I'm giving that, not like D tier or something, is these are the operators you probably don't ever realistically want to use on a team. Like you use these, you're kind of harming your team, you're probably not going to be able to really do anything. I think there's only like one or two operators that go in that tier. But this is just going to be kind of a guide for beginners if you're like, where do these characters go? It's going to be a guide for that. So first off, we have Berlica. We're going to start with Berlica. She's an easy A. She's very good for the Lightning team. She kind of just is a great character in general. If you don't use her for the Lightning team, what are you doing? She's like one of the best characters for that team, and I think it's also the most free to play friendly team. So that's good. Next off, we have Chen. So do forgive me if I don't get all these characters' names right. I don't have some of these. I don't have some of the 6 stars, and I'm not pronouncing some of these names right, like Pog. But next off we have Chen, and she's an easy A tier. You could put her at B. She goes in one of these. I think I'm gonna put her in A though, because she does go on the physical team with the End Administrator and Pog, and she cooks pretty well. She's really good all around. Just an amazing character. And then I think, yeah, that's just it, I guess. Like there's not much to say about her. She's kind of basic, which is why I think you could realistically drop her to B. But I still put her at A just because I did use her for a while. And she was really well. I felt like there was really not many flaws with her at all. I thought she was like I definitely noticed her like lacking compared to somebody say Last Right, who by the way, was my first ever operator on Enfield, like 3-star operator besides the administrator. So it's not that big of a fair comparison to make the best DPS here in the game versus stuff free to stuff 5-star. But point being, very good character, right? Goes on the physical team, just amazing. Next off, we have the best character in the game, in my personal opinion, being Levitain. Easy S tier, like so easy S tier. She is amazing. She's the goat. She is just like that great. She's truly just a one of a kind type of character. Like it's just amazing, like what she does, I guess. But yeah. So that's that. Levitain on she goes on fire teams. You want her paired with I guess we can uh show you which guy. So you want to pair with Wolfguard. You also want to pair her with either Antal or her. Forget her name. And you obviously want to have Ardelia. Now let's talk about Ardelia being just no, we're not. But anyways, just because these characters do fit on Levitain's team, they're not going in. They're not going to be on S tier or anything. Just because they fit on that team, I'm ranking them by themselves rather than as a collective team. But no, she is insane. I guess you could say like by herself, but like she feeds on like flame stacks or whatever. So the more flame stacks she has, the better she is. And she also is really good at dealing with like AoE enemies. That's really all I have to say for Levitain. Next up, I was lucky enough to actually pull her, Yvonne. So Yvonne works really well on cryo teams. She works really well with Zihi, I think. Is Ihi? I forget her name, but I think that's her name. She works really well with this. She also works well with Last Right. And I think you can also put her on a team with her, or I think Perlica actually goes on the team with them. But no, Yvonne's amazing. I personally think she's one of the best operators in the game. I know a lot of people haven't had the chance to use her because of the fact that, well, she's very rare to get. So basically, how you get her is when it comes down to that 50-50 chance on Levitain's banner, you gotta fail the 50-50 and you have to pull her. So out of I think the what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of the 7 characters, out of the 7 6-star operators, you have to get her. And you have a chance to get any of these other ones. Now the reason why these 5 right here are significantly less common, less rare, is only because they're on the basic headhunting and like the headhunting you get through like chartering and all that, like the not chartering, but like the story and stuff. You get a guaranteed one of these. So all of these, and she's free. She's the easiest 6-star to get. You just log in for 3 days, and you get her. You get Ardelia. So I would put Yvonne. I know I'm not speaking much about what she does and her capabilities, but I believe her like I'm gonna talk in PC terms. Like her when you press 3, because that's what I usually assigned her as on that team was 3. Like when you use her, I think skill is what they call it. It freezes enemies, and that's really good. And she can get decent. She just does really good damage. Her ult is a mag dump that does like 10k damage or something absurd like that. Just really good. And yeah, she just shreds through enemies' health. She uses the guns, so she's ranged, um, which is okay. But next off, let's move to Gilberta. Um, I'm gonna be honest, I have not used Gilberta, but from what I've seen, she seems to be an A tier. I've heard people put her in S. I've seen people put her in A. We might move her up later. I can't talk about her that much. I'm going based off what other people have seen. I think she's support, but that actually is a really good segue into our next character. Ardelia is S tier. She's the best support in the game. Of course, there's not that many supports, but she's just so good at what she does. She's just kind of insane. Also, if you're wondering, now that I'm talking about like the 6 stars, who should I use using the like select headhunt thing, like the guaranteed 6-star you can choose from? Last right. That's this lady right here. Last right. Choose her. She's absurd. If you already have her, go just really. I'd say Pog, and then if you don't have Pog, you can just do whatever you really want after that. Like it doesn't really matter. But I mean, of course it matters, but you know what I mean. So basically, Ardelia is S tier. She provides great support. She does fantastic healing. Her ult is amazing. I can't talk about her kit that much, but like, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really looked that much into it. But like, whenever you put her on the team, you can feel her impact. Like, she genuinely feels kind of like a cheat code to have in a way because she's just that good. She also goes on the Levitain team. So if not, she also goes on the best. And I know I didn't say that was the criteria of this, and it's still not, but that's just an added bonus of her. She goes on basically any team in the game. Next off, we have Ember, who's going in, like, I'd say between those two. And I'd move Shen up, and I'd say this is. Ember is a defensive. She still does good DPS, but she's kind of just like a letdown, I guess, is the best way to put it. Compared to these other characters. Like these other characters, I personally would say I could feel the impact of more, except for Gilberta, because I don't have Gilberta. But I'd say these two, I feel the impact more of her. Of course, I haven't really used her that much. I've only kind of like seen like clips and whatnot. But so haven't used her much, so I'm not going to talk about this for too long. She goes in bottom of A. Next up, we have Last Right, who's going in S, and I'd put her above Yvonne, but below Ardelia. So Last Right? She best DPS character in the game, does absurd damage, really, really good. But she doesn't have her ult takes a while to charge. And yeah, that's but besides that, she does really good damage, so you're not really like missing damage by not using her ult frequently, and her ult does amazing damage, but the reason why I have all these other characters more is because they do more things. Something about them is more special and just better. Now, mind you, I don't have Last Right signature weapon, while I do have Ardelia's and Levitain's signature weapons, so there might be some like bias here. But from what I've seen from Last Right, and I used her for like a good portion of my playthrough, she's just kind of just underwhelming. I'm not underwhelming. That's not fair to say. She's above expectations, but compared to these two, I feel like she's worse. Next off, let's move to this guy. Haven't used him. I've seen him in A, so we'll put him here. I've also seen him put in S, but um, I forget his name. I think it's like Li Fong or something. He's A tier because I have a friend that pulled him. Said he's pretty good, but we'll move on to the next guy being. I actually have him. I have Pog. Pog is the next guy, right? Haven't really used Pog before. Because I pulled him like after I was really done and I already had Levitain and all that, so I didn't see a reason to use Pog. But Pog also goes on the physical team, and I think he's S, right? I put him below Yvonne, like below all of these guys, but he's still really good because he works on the physical team, which is Endman, Chen, um, Pog, and I think also you can throw Ember on there as well. But let's move on to another character. This guy, I don't even know his name, and I think you could debatably put him in hell no tier. Right? Let me know if you used them. I haven't used them, so there's probably just a little bit of bias here. But from everything I've seen, nobody talks about this guy, and nobody really uses him. He's not good. He doesn't really fit on any team comp. It's just there. Arclight, B tier. It's like we're gonna move Chen down to B tier. But like, think of her as like A minus basically, and then this is like B plus. But Arclight's B plus just because, she's really good on the electric team. But outside of that, like when I was using her in like the earliest version of my team, and I like swapped her out for, I forget who I swapped out for, but I did. I didn't really feel anything. Like I didn't feel like her being gone was really impacting my team that much. And I kind of had like a pseudo lightning comp going on. Now, of course, that's why, because it was a pseudo lightning comp. I was using the administrator, Chen, Perlic on her. But like, I feel like outside of the electric teams and on her own, she doesn't really work that well. She's B tier. She works really well on the electric team, but she's not nearly as good as any of these other characters, I'd say. Next off, we have the bunny lady. I think her name is. I'm not even gonna try. I forget. But she's. I think from what I've seen, she's B. I think she's below, but she's. I don't know what element she supports, but I know I have seen other tier lists, and she's decent. Right? She's fine for what she is. She's all right. And then Depan. I believe he goes in C tier as our first C tier of the video. He's just, I think, awful and underwhelming. Like in my opinion. Right? Like he's. Truth is, early game, if you get him, he goes on physical teams. He's gonna be fine. But I haven't used him that much. I haven't used a lot of these characters that much, so we're not gonna spend too much time on him. He's C tier, just kind of worse than all of these characters, but better than this guy. Right. Next off is the snowboard lady whose name I forget. Why? Because I have a terrible memory. She goes B tier, and I'd put this more as like a C minus, meant a C plus, because she only really works on like the last right team and all that. On her own, she's fine, but she's not like amazing. I noticed that Dahlia and all them were better. Like even Antal is just a better version of her, basically. But I don't really want to. That's like comparing apple and oranges type of deal. But then let's talk about the next guy on our team, Wolfguard. I think I put him bottom of A. You could debatably put him above Ember. You could debatably put him below Ember. He's A minus, but um, he's just good at getting those fire stacks that Levitain needs in order to really succeed and cook. So, fortunately, he's also one of the only characters that actually does decent for doing that job because we don't have that many characters as you can see. Next off, Zaihi. Well, I don't know. She's A tier. I would put her above. She works on the last right team. Just really good support, really good healing, and all that good stuff. I used her a little on my last right team. I thought she worked incredibly well with last right. But unfortunately, I mean, actually, no. I think you put these two on like the exact same last right team. And also, I forgot to say this about Wolfguard. You put him on the Levitain team. Now, please in the comments do tell me if there's anything you disagree with at this point in the video. I'm sure I'm getting something wrong. I'm not using any of these characters, and I'm sure I do have some bias for some of these characters. Next off is her, and she goes in C tier, right? I think she also goes on the Levitain team, but there's no reason to use her over Antal. Just no reason whatsoever. Kind of a worse version of Antal, really. So next off, we have Antal, who's going in. You could say A. I'm gonna put him in B. Right? I feel like outside of that, when we get more characters, he's not gonna be that good. Right? Like he's not gonna be like a day one unit that's gonna like survive the test of time. But he will probably stay B tier for a while. You could debatably put him bottom of B, but I think A is just getting a little too populated, so we're gonna put it in B. Um, Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Well, the reason why I say that is because I haven't personally seen any of these three be considered good by anybody. In fact, I've only really seen them and called like underwhelming and just bad. The reason why same goes for her, but she at least works on the Levitain team, so she has something going for her. These guys just don't. Uh, so yeah, I'm not gonna talk about them that much. This is kind of like the end of the tier list. I'm gonna leave this here if you want to like screenshot it or something. So this is this team, right? You have so in S tier, Levitain, Ardelia, Lastrite, Yvonne, Pog. A tier, Gilberta, Lifong, Perlica, Ember, Zyke, Wolfguard. B tier, Chen, Antal, Arclight, forget her name, and then I forget her name. My bad. C tier, Depan, and I forget her name. And then hell no, I don't know any of these guys' names. But so we'll call him eye patched fellow because he has one eye, and I feel like an eye patch would look kind of cool. This guy, and this guy, even though they're not guys. But anyways, besides the point, like, since this is the tier list, I'd say even B and like C and below are characters you just don't want to use on your team. You're only really harming yourself. B and above are B to A are characters I'd recommend using on your team. Uh, if like truth is, B tier is just a little bit worse than A, but I'd say like these characters, if you put on a team with like some basic building team knowledge, you're gonna clear like 90% of the game. Let's honestly put Antal in like bottom of A because he goes on there. He's really good at just applying debuffs, but this is the final tier list. Yeah, sorry for saying that earlier, but this is the final list, right? Screenshot this if you want, share it, whatever. So that's really all I can say about this tier list currently. I think this might change over time. I could potentially see Ardelia being lowered once we get better supports. I could see any of the people in A tier going to C or even hell no tier. I could just depends on the power creep of this game. It is a gacha game, so there's going to be power creep. Really just depends. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed watching and goodbye.